So in the last video I talked about basic introduction to Python and basic information about Python, and also for example we did one example for a print statement. Now because the video limit is 5 minutes in this screen recorder, so I'm going to be a little brief this time. So why we do use Python? Because Python is cross-platform. What is the meaning of cross-platform? Because we can work Python in different platforms. And Python has similar syntax to the English language. The syntax of Python allows the developer to write program in fewer lines than any other programming language. So these are some of, in Python can be treated in a procedural way, object-oriented way, and functional way. That's why they are the basic advantages of Python that Python offers that no other programming can offer us. For example, so the video is very short, so that's why I came to the next section of it and the getting started part of it. For example, if you want to know that your program or that your computer has already Python installed or not, what do we do? For example, we come into the CMD part and just we write Python -- version. So if a version of Python came, if we write it, for example, in a counter prompt Python -- version. So for example Python 3.11.5, that's why my computer or my laptop has already installed the Python program. If it is not installed, then we can install the Python program. We can, for example, write Python in any other text editor. For example, we can write it in Notebook, we can write it in, for example, WordPad. We can write it in any text editor program, or we can, for example, write it in Jupyter Notebook or something like that. So what we have to do, we have to save that file with that py extension, then it will be Python file. But Python should already be installed in our computer programming languages. For example, we can write Python in Anaconda prompt as well. How we can write Python, for example, in Anaconda prompt as well? We can write, for example, Python in Anaconda prompt as well. First of all, I go to Anaconda prompt. I, for example, make it like a split screen like this. Okay, then first of all, what I have to write? I write Python. So after writing the Python, what I have to do right here is, for example, make it a little bit more. Then in here I write, for example, whatever I have to write. For example, print in hello world, and that. So hello world is print. We can write in any text editor, we can write it in Anaconda prompt, we can write it in Jupyter Notebook. But if I write in any other text program, what I have to do, I have to make sure that it has .py extension. Then I come into the next part, that is starting the Python syntax. So as we learned in the previous page, the Python syntax can be executed by writing directly. It has a similar language, and we can execute a code in fewer lines in Python rather than any other programming languages. So what we have to do, .py should be the file extension about the Python. What is indentation? Indentation, for example, in similar language, English language, we can, for example, spaces is called, for example, indentation. Python must follow, because Python does not need blocking, for example, braces, brackets. So that's why what we have to do, Python work on indentation system. If indentation is wrong, it will be a compilation error, it will not be compiled. So indentation refer to the spaces at the beginning of code line. At the beginning of line codes, whatever the spaces are, that's called as indentation. Another programming language, indentation is not important, but in Python indentation is important. For example, if we have a conditional statement or if conditional statement, if there is no indentation in that statement, then it will not work. That will not work. For example, I came into this part and I write, for example, if statement. If 6 is greater than, for example, what if 6 is, for example, greater than 8? What we have to do right here? But I do not write indentation. I say print what hello. So what if I run this thing? It will be an error. Why error? that is written as well indentation error expected at indented blocks. So indentation is very important. If we write